Good morning. You are listening to Hollywood in West Napa. I'm your host, Kat Smith, and you are listening to 91.3 FM KSVY. And on the phone, I have the first caller. So just give me 1 second. Good morning, David. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Kat. How you doing?
I'm great, and I'm going to tell the listeners what we're doing because we're doing something kind of offbeat today. We're going to be talking with David Smith, who, as you will notice, has a Scottish accent, is calling us from Canada, and right now on the radio, we're going to have a Twitter hashtag chat. Isn't that right?
Sounds like fun.
And so now why are we doing this? We're doing this because he doesn't actually have a Twitter account, but I have a monthly hashtag chat called hashtag Chat Social Graces that discusses social media and real estate and putting them together. And you kill it in so many ways online using other platforms. I don't think the advice should be kept off of Twitter just because you're not on Twitter. So we thought we would do this interview today, and then I would use the transcript as the chat on Twitter on Thursday. So are you ready for this?
That'll work. That'll totally work. I think that'll work.
It'll totally work. Okay. So let's start with the first question. In a nutshell, tell us the story of how your online video series, The Local, began.
Well, right when I began my real estate business, I wanted to build it around advocating for others instead of myself. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do that was undoubtedly video. So I found a partner who was in that kind of media realm, and we made videos together. Mm-hmm. Pretty simple.
And I feel like I should go back 1 second. I didn't give the topic of the conversation, which is using video to bring a community together, which is what you really do with The Local.
Exactly. That's totally the idea.
Yeah,
we want to celebrate others, advocate for others.
And then while you didn't start The Local as a direct driver of business for your real estate business, how has it been successful to your real estate career to have those videos online out there celebrating your community?
Honestly, this will frustrate some realtors. I can't point to a single deal that came directly from The Local, mm-hmm. but I can point to a lot of people that realized that I was different because of it, and they use me because I'm different. Right. So it's not direct. It's more a play on who I am.
Well, and I think that part of advertising online is giving people a little bit here and there, and it's kind of an overall reason they work with you, as opposed to one direct item that you post out there.
Yeah, I don't make the ask. I just put it out there, and if people want to work with me, then they want to work with me.
Yeah. And so realtors are notorious for not showing more than the real estate side of themselves online. Why is advocating important, especially in your own community?
I think at the macro level, when I read that question, I realized it's because I'm not just trying to show myself off. Period. Right. I actually want to show other people off. I enjoy that a lot more, and so that's what I focus on.
Yeah. And I'm trying really hard to stay on topic, so I'm trying to save these questions for the end because I know we can get through the questions, so I'm going to just keep saving them. When you talk about the subjects in your videos, you say you are celebrating them. Why is it important to celebrate others?
I think kids are worth celebrating. If I'm focusing on them, they're doing something right. And each one of us who runs our own business or nonprofit, we know how lonely it can be. I'm sure you've experienced that. I'm sure many of your listeners have experienced that. And so it can mean the world for someone to just come alongside, recognize what you're doing, and then publicly celebrate them. I love seeing the joy that can bring.
Yeah. And you also mentioned in an interview that this means also publicly celebrating another local realtor for their advocacy. And
totally.
Should we be worried that will negatively impact our own business?
It might negatively impact our own business, but I don't know if we should worry about it that much.
Right.
I'm not that bothered. I mean, honestly, if someone is inspired by someone else, then why shouldn't they use them instead of me?
Exactly.
I love celebrating other realtors for the things that they do. And the benefit to me, and it's a kind of long-term benefit, is it benefits my industry. It makes us look a little bit better because the public perception is not great.
Yeah. I think realtors have a fear of one another, and I think that they need to realize that, you're not going to get along with every client. Sometimes it is more important to make sure that you help someone find their perfect match in that world, because it's a big commitment buying a house or selling it.
Well, if someone is more inspiring or doing better at their job than I am, like it's like Gary Vaynerchuk says, there's two ways to the tallest building in the city. Mm-hmm. One is you can build the tallest building, and the other is you can knock all the other ones down. I'd rather just focus on building the tallest building.
Right. So next question, how does video build trust?
It's so hard to fake it on video without everybody seeing like right through you. So if you're trying to be someone else, it's just not sustainable. You will be found out. So as long as you're actually trustworthy, then people will come to trust you through video. But you've actually got to be trustworthy.
That's a great answer. And then The Local is a pretty involved show, but you do things like, aside from The Local, that's a very involved show for a realtor to try to imitate. But you do things like your 1-minute market story and some other short video clips. So it doesn't really need to be grand to be a video story that you put out there for people to get to know you. Right?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that
I
one
forgot
that you're
the right.
referencing, that was just like, no, that was like in my basement, and I think I just threw a T-shirt on. It's like 35 degrees Celsius here right now. I don't know what that translates into your Fahrenheit, but it's been hot, and so I threw a T-shirt on and then just gave them a 1-minute story. And so I think a combination of high production value pieces like The Local can definitely be supplemented super effectively with low production value content because they really have different purposes.
Right. And since we're doing well on time, I want to comment on that again. The other thing I really liked about that 1-minute market update was that you didn't give people statistics. You said, I'm going to put this in perspective using a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the statistics side of things, I can deliver that all day, but really what matters to people is, okay, Dave, tell me how that actually works on the ground.
Right, exactly. And then you also use video as a driver to live in-person events like your home buying and beers. It was a presentation you did with a mortgage broker, I believe. Do you think that the video helped boost the attendance to your event?
I know for sure that it did. We do ask people kind of where they found out about it, and almost exclusively they found them on Facebook or Instagram, and it was primarily from both organic shares and from boosted posts targeting their demographic.
Yeah. And then what does your quote, people over property, mean?
That's on the side of my car, and it just means that I care a lot more about people than I do about houses. Real estate for me is just an avenue to care for people. That's where I find the satisfaction, and so that's where I really put the emphasis.
We're doing really well, by the way. I almost think I can ask you the icebreaker questions at the end of this because I was not planning for this to go so well.
I think the ice is broke, but we can totally do that.
Yeah, the ice is broken, but so I wrote in quotes, if you build it, they will come, like the movie with the ballpark. Can we just load our video on the web and people will find it?
No. I mean, it does depend on the content, and it depends on what people you're trying to reach. Like, if I'm trying to reach my own followers, all of them, then I've got to boost that post to my followers. The most potential does still seem to be on Facebook. A huge kind of portion of their consumers are still there, even though it's being lambasted at the moment. And demographic targeting on Facebook is totally unparalleled, so I can leverage that enormously, especially for my listings.
Oh, okay. I'm going to save that question for right after we end. Okay, so this is the last question for the Twitter chat, and then I'm going to go back to that question. So stealing this from an article that Inman did, if an agent should stop doing one thing today, what would it be?
Thinking about themselves so much.
Yeah.
Just don't think about yourself so much. Think about other people.
I think it was Scott Stratton, the same year that you did your presentation at Inman, which is where I saw you first. He did a presentation and he said, I'm totally blanking. But it was about having their faces on the billboards, on the benches and everything, saying, you say, don't look at me, but then all you show is yourself. Something like that. I'm totally paraphrasing incorrectly, but it was something like that. But so I wanted to go back a second since we officially Twitter chatted just there. We did a great job.
Twitter chat. That's the most involvement I've had on Twitter for a while.
So when you were mentioning that you have demographic targeting, and I was reading somewhere the other day that we're in trouble in the U.S. for the third-party data breach, and they're taking away. We've been able in the U.S. to target with things like likely to move or recently engaged or income levels. You guys didn't have those specific demographics in your advertising up there, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And where I'm actually from, like my mom runs a real estate business with my dad in the UK, and they're even more restrictive. Like they're going through crazy data protection stuff right now.
Wow. So do you have any tips because we're spoiled now because we had that all along, and they're taking that third-party data away. Do you have tips for how you targeted your ads not having that information?
I think it's broad brush stuff. So interests, age, gender, location. Those are like, it's the broad brush stuff. Like if I'm running a home buyers and beers event, then I will definitely target it for young, primarily males that have an interest in beer. And yeah, I might not know if they're actively searching for a home, but if they fall within that demographic and they come and they might want to buy in the next 2 years, then they may as well still come to the event. I mean, I closed a couple of deals recently, worth a combined $2.5 million from the parents of two boys or young men who came out to one of those events. So, you can kind of still broad brush target, and you never really know who's going to show up.
Right. Right. And I think it's also important, it's in the wording that you use in the text, it's in the pictures you use, and it's a whole overall scheme. It's not just, people shouldn't rely just on, I'm looking for somebody who makes $4 million a year.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Also, that's a big number.
It's a very big number. You have a pretty low response there for sure. But yeah, we never had that. And so we've had to, rather than doing like super micro level targeting, we've had to make content that actually appeals to the demographic that we're trying to hit. So it makes you think about the content a little bit more as well. Right.
And then have you guys...
Whether it be video or copy or whatever.
Yeah. And I imagine that utilizing your email list and the lookalike audience is probably a big way around that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No question about it. We can definitely find some leverage there.
So since we have a couple minutes, do you want to go over what like a few of the last episodes of The Local were about, the subjects you were celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you about the one that had the biggest impact for sure, and it was the one that was probably closest to my heart, which was just on helping refugees get settled in Canada here. So I partnered with an organization called New Hope, and they've helped over 400 refugees get settled in the lower mainland of Metro Vancouver, which is, just an incredible statistic. And these people aren't just like here and consuming, but they're actually here and contributing to our culture, to our society, to our economy. And they've played a huge role in that. And so I just got to kind of come alongside, celebrate what they were doing, meet a refugee family. As you may remember from my Inman talk, that goes back like a long way into my history because my parents were involved in working with refugees in Scotland.
Right.
And so, that one was what was picked up by Inman. And it came at a time where, your own president was kind of talking about banning Muslims from the country. And instead of me just decrying that, it's better, instead of like fighting negativity, it's better just to tell a few positive stories.
Right.
And that one really got some traction because it showed the humanity of these people when I'm holding their baby on screen and I'm thinking of my own baby. I mean, the first time I saw that episode, I bawled my eyes out.
Right.
Because it was a very moving thing. And when we played it in a premiere event, the mayor of our city, which is the second biggest city in British Columbia, she bawled her eyes out.
Oh.
And then she reached out to the organization and was like, how can we as a city help? So, there can be some real good done by featuring stories like that. But then even for for-profits, like the brewery, Trading Post Brewery, who are a local brewery in the area, the episode I did on them has turned into an amazing relationship where I run a lot of events there. I sponsored their beer festival locally. We had like 3,500 people come out. All the glasses had my logo on it. We did videos kind of prior to kind of pump it and sell tickets. And we did a video on the day and we'll be editing that soon. Like it really, like the Local can open doors that other avenues don't open for me, because it shows that I really actually will invest my own time and money in celebrating them. That's been super cool.
Well, I love what you're doing. I love the local, and I'm glad that it's bringing you success as well. And do you want to give out some links so that people can go and watch some of those video clips?
Sure. If you just went to davidsmithhomes.ca, not .com, but davidsmithhomes.ca, there is a link that you can click on there called The Local, and I think you'll find all the episodes there. Things have got super busy in the business recently. I just hired a new person to help me be able to focus again on that kind of content creation, because it's the stuff that I love. So keep an eye out for more video content coming in the future. But I think there's at least like 8 to 10 episodes of The Local right there.
Awesome. And you're going to be trending on Twitter on Thursday, because 1 p.m. California time, hashtag chat social graces. Look for that on Twitter. And I'll be using the transcript to form a Twitter chat with someone who's not on Twitter. Thank you so much for calling in today.
Thanks, Kat. I appreciate it a lot. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.